I, 14 female, live with my dad and spend some of the holidays with my mom. I have 3 siblings from my mom, 16 male and 11 female and 7 female. 11 female and 7 female are the only ones who have the same dad, our stepdad. My dad and I decided to have an early Christmas because I'm spending Christmas with my mom. I knew Christmas at my mom's would be boring, so I decided to bring my dad's gifts with me. iPad, charm bracelet, PS4, and headphones. My mom got angry and said I shouldn't have brought them with me because of her rule. She says whatever dad buys for me should stay at his home. And because they can't afford to buy the same for my siblings and they'll be upset. They wanted me to share with my siblings, but I didn't want to risk ruining my stuff, so I said absolutely not. They can't touch my stuff. Now they are all jealous, and my mom is mad at me and said I should have been thinking about how my siblings will feel when they see me having these gifts while their gifts are much cheaper. I said I don't care about them or how they feel. I shouldn't be bored to make them happy. She called me an a-hole and took everything away. I called my dad, who made my mom give everything back, but now she thinks I'm an a-hole. Not the a-hole. You're a teenager. You're not responsible for the fact that you have nice stuff and others don't. Your mom cannot insist that you hide your stuff just because the rest don't have the same things. It's not fair on you. Everyone sucks here. Your mom shouldn't try and guilt you like this. She's being a bad parent. However, you need to learn the value of sharing. Rather than spending the whole Christmas break guarding your items from your siblings and building up resentment between them, try leaning in. By this I mean engage with your siblings on your terms. Yes, those are your presents, and they don't have a right to use them. But if you let them use them occasionally, your life will be much easier and happier. Say tomorrow afternoon we can take turns on the PS4, or on Christmas Eve we can play on the iPad. Rather than stressing about if they'll steal your iPad or play the PS4 when you're in the shower, you'll find that they're not so bad, and all of you will have a better Christmas for it. Everyone sucks here. Your mom is rude for offering your things without your permission, but you really didn't need to bring both expensive electronics on a one-week stay. I get bored. Everyone does. It's a part of life. You find ways to occupy yourself. You'd have your phone, wouldn't you? I don't see why that's not enough entertainment for a week with family. You're not obligated to share with anyone, but your responses show your immaturity and selfishness, which is excusable since you're a kid, but something to think about. Also, if your biological mother has kids, they're still your siblings, even if you don't have the same dad. You don't need to be full blood to be related to someone. My brother Max has been married to Ashley for over 10 years. They've been together since high school. Ashley and I do not get along. I find her to be lazy, useless, not the best mom. She's super catty, and her voice annoys me. She doesn't like me because I don't kowtow to her, and I'm very direct with Max. We largely avoid each other, and that's fine. Ashley and Max gave up good jobs to launch a business that failed epically. Long story. They both thought they'd end up working few hours a day and become millionaires. Since they both had to go back to work, they needed a sitter for their 4 sons, who are 5, 7, 9, and 13. It didn't make financial sense to get a sitter and have half your earnings pay for one. I'm just a single guy who works fully remotely, and I love my nephews, so I offered to watch them for free. Sometimes I have them more than their parents. I don't really feel the extra costs of having them around. I just think it's cool that they will grow up having their uncle as their sitter. I started butting heads with Ashley over her trying to micromanage me from her job. I don't do micromanage. I do things my way. When those boys get picked up, they get picked up with a full stomach, homework done, all their boy energy gone and clean. I'm obviously doing an excellent job. I don't need direction. I'm with the boys. She is not. Max tried to intervene by asking me to work with her. I asked him to name me one thing that I need to work on. I'll wait. I was blunt with him and said this is a control issue and that's not going to work, but I will sleep on it. The next day, I said in order for this to work, then I need to work for her. Therefore, I want $19 an hour, and since I don't like her, I also want to be reimbursed for gas and food. He told me to be serious, and I said I was. He said I know they can't afford a sitter. I said if he wants a free sitter, then tell your wife to not bother me unless it's an emergency. I'll deal with him instead. The funniest part is, he is more controlling with his kids than she is. He still dresses the 3 younger kids and sleeps with them. Info. Can you give an example of what she is doing that is making you upset and seem like it's micromanaging? Like, tell me they need to do their homework right after school. No. I'm going to let them play on the playground and maybe take them on an errand or two. Maybe something else works for her, but not for me. Same result, different strategy. Then she'll text me right after school to ask me if they're going to my place to do homework. Since you are doing them a huge favor for free, it is only fair that they are appreciative instead of instigating fights, even though it also sounds like you are doing that now. But all in all, if they don't like it, get another sitter, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You are being extremely generous doing this for free as a loving uncle, and it sounds like she might be trying to micromanage you because she's threatened by the success you're having, and that's really stupid on her part. I, 31 female, and husband, 40 male, have been together since stepdaughter, J, 13 female, was 18 months old. He was a single dad when we met and the most gentle, caring, and sincere man I had ever met. Her mom came back into the picture shortly after my now husband started dating me. There had been constant court custody battles in the past 12 years, with primary custody switching back and forth. My husband does not like conflict and always eventually gives mom what she asks for, unless Jay says she wants to stay with him. Mom has bipolar disorder and struggles with emotional regulation. We are currently having Jay home summers and an alternating winter holiday, since he and mom have moved further and further away from each other. I do love Jay and treat her better than my bio kids. 0 male, 2 female, 4 male. I truly only want the best for her. She has had a lot of incidents acting out that make me worried for her. She has stolen car keys and hid them, put cat turds from the litter box in Christmas presents, stolen from classmates. But the point is, everyone knows who it was. When confronted by her father, Jay denies everything, even with decent evidence that she did it. Dad says it's not her fault because her mom does the same thing, and he is worried that if he disciplines her for incidents she doesn't acknowledge as doing, she will eventually cut ties with him altogether, like her mom did with her own father. Lately, she's been telling her dad that I'm doing aggressive-type behaviors when he is not around. I do get annoyed and frustrated with her, but I don't yell at her, punish her, or even give her consequence at all. She says that I yell at her, hurt the other kids to make it seem like she is mean to them, and other ridiculous claims that are usually exaggerated versions of true events. This problem seems to be getting worse and worse with her dad splitting his attention among the kids. He goes out of her way to spend one-on-one time with her, but I'm the one who works outside the home, so I need him to have the kids' summers and winter breaks. We already have a couple cameras paired with our phones around the house, but now I want to fill in the rest of the house so I can show my husband exactly how mundane our interactions actually are. Husband says he doesn't believe her, but I feel like with more undeniable proof, he could confront her and hopefully end this behavior. I love my stepdaughter and my husband very much, but I feel like I'm avoiding her more and more to try and prevent the problem behavior. That's not what I want for our family. I miss her when she isn't home, and I want to spend time with her. I don't feel like it's my place to call her out myself, and my husband walks on eggshells around her and hardly ever gives her consequences for anything. I'm tired of the near constant invented drama when she is here. I feel like cameras would be the best answer, even if it seems unhinged. Would I be the a-hole? You're the a-hole for thinking cameras will be the answer. That sounds ludicrous, to be honest. The child clearly has fairly serious behavioral issues, and with a family history of mental problems, the solution should be more along the lines of therapy, for her and for the family as well. To me, this sounds like saying she steals, so you want to buy handcuffs for her to wear at all times. Does that sound like a solution? Not the a-hole. Your stepkid is displaying worrying attention-seeking behavior, and you already have cameras in the house, so you'd just be extending your current security system. As long as the cameras aren't in creepy places like the bathroom, you're good. Everyone sucks here. If your husband refuses to take action after all of that, out of fear his daughter will leave him, then adding more cameras ain't gonna change anything. But you've got other kids to worry about too. He really needs to step up his parenting, or risk alienating all of his kids with this laid-back approach. A family therapist would probably help you much more. I've been married to my husband for 19 years, and together 26. But we started off as an illicit affair all those years ago, and it was ugly. Now, all these years later, our children from our first marriages have grown up, married, kids' jobs, houses, etc., and all fine. But to this day, I am never ever allowed to be in the same room as his children or grandchildren. They hate me, and I'm blamed entirely for the affair, even though in truth it was actually more the other way around. But all this is lost in history. I'm perceived as the monster, scapegoat, whatever. We share a holiday caravan, which we renovated together, and is very special to us, and was always the only marital space, really. My family are absolutely fine with him now. Despite their anger at him years ago, they've moved on and are nice to him as he's my husband. But it's not the other way around. I am utterly excluded from absolutely everything. Not even my name on a wedding invite, etc. But I would never ever have wanted to go to these events in the circumstances. But here's where I am drawing the line and need to ask if I'm being unreasonable. His adult children and their spouses and their grandchildren all go to our holiday home, and when they do, I'm not allowed to be there. In fact, if they are planning to go and I'm already there, I have to leave. I have tried to get my husband to change this over the years, but he refuses, saying it's totally reasonable and I should understand and respect their hatred of me. Yet he has never stood up for me and shared responsibility for our relationship, even given it was him who pursued it so obsessively and begged me to marry him, etc. I have decided that enough is enough, and I won't be treated like this for the rest of my life. I am almost 60, and actually a nice, benign person, a bit weak to be honest, and cannot seem to stand up for myself. He is utterly furious with me now, and threatening divorce, and that he'll take the caravan away from me totally, etc., as if he's far more protective of his children's hatred for me than our relationship or my sense of dignity. I feel that he is completely wrong about this, but I'm asking here if I'm perhaps off the mark. Is he reasonable? Are his children reasonable? If they hate me so much still and want to hold on to that, couldn't they go to a different holiday venue? Help. They don't need to move on. They don't need to get over it. They never have to. It's been 26 years. But some people aren't forgiven, and this is one of those times. Pretty much the stepkids are irrelevant here, because it comes down to your husband tolerating and condoning this, choosing to use you as a scapegoat to keep his children in his life. The worst part is, you let him. You accepted this role and didn't stand up for yourself, and your husband knew you wouldn't because you admit you're a bit weak, and he totally, absolutely took advantage of that. I'll be the one to say it. Not wanting you at their personal family events is acceptable. That's sometimes the cross you bear when you conduct in an affair. Yeah, your family accepted him because their mom didn't get cheated on. Come on, use common sense there. It's entirely different for them. But the catch here is the fact that you're not allowed to stay in your holiday home that you've contributed to. That is a hard no for me. It's fine if they want to use it when you aren't there, but for you to leave when they are there just to make sure they can come? No. They can wait their turn, or at least plan arrangements ahead of schedule. You shouldn't get kicked out of your house when your husband's kids decide they want to chill there. No. I'm not saying you are a horrible person. I'm not saying you deserve this treatment from your husband. But what did you expect? He cheated on their mom with you, and you stayed after he showed you he would not prioritize you over his kids. Yeah, your husband might have pursued you, but you entertained it and participated in it. Own your stuff. Kids coming first is reasonable to an extent, and I can't say this arrangement is wholly off because they don't like you, have never liked you, and you don't like them. He is their dad. Many people want relationships with their parents, and this is the narrative they spun when you weren't responsible for this. At least not completely. I'd draw the line at the holiday home and call them maybe bluff about divorce because your husband doesn't sound like he respects you. He's never respected you in the 26 years you've been married. Why do you think he stayed? Certainly I can appreciate why his kids don't like the other woman. That said, you aren't wrong that he shares blame. Unfortunately, the sort of man who screws around on his wife is bound to be selfish. So I don't think there's anything you can do if you want to stay in the marriage. His kids are under no obligation to accept you. He likes having you as a scapegoat with his kids. He probably helped that perception along. He doesn't get to take everything. You'll probably be able to split assets 50-50. Then he can scapegoat you all he wants, but you won't have to have anything to do with that family anymore. Life is too short to willingly tolerate being treated this way. I, male 26, recently got married to my wife, female 24. We decided for our honeymoon that we were going to spend a week on our parents' vacation property that has a dock and a boat, and then drive to the closest port for a cruise. During our stay at the vacation property, there was an issue with the boat. It was pretty minor, and I told my dad about it, and he insisted he come over and check it out and fix it. He said he'd be there for a few hours and be out of our hair. I told my wife, and she reluctantly agreed, because it was his boat that had an issue. He came over, fixed the boat, and I felt bad, so I offered to go out with him and grab lunch, my treat. I felt bad that he drove 2 hours during a work week to fix up the boat for us to enjoy, and wanted to treat him to a few beers and lunch. We left, and we got back after 2 hours. He left, and we went back to our honeymoon. The issue is that after the honeymoon, she complained that I let him invade our honeymoon, and that I even went out with him during our honeymoon. I felt like it was no big deal. Am I the a-hole? New wife is on another level of entitlement. It's half a day at most, out of a 2-week honeymoon. At the property owned by the man who generously used his PTO to fix the boat he also owns, so his son and new daughter-in-law can have a great time while they're there. And she's been out of shape out of a few hours. Good grief. Not the a-hole. You have a free place for your honeymoon. He drove 2 hours out of his way and had to drive 2 hours back. He fixed the boat so your wife could enjoy the experience. Come on, people. Show a little gratitude. When your father reads this, he'll probably think twice before he goes out of his way for the new wifey. She sounds selfish. Yes, soft yes the a-hole. His coming over to fix it was nice of him, as is you wanting to thank him. But you could have scheduled to take him out after your honeymoon was over.